Today we're going to talk about Newark Public Schools and how to make sure that all of our children are successful right here in Newark and how we all are responsible for that success. You might have recently got something in the mail from an outside organization that said that we should not let politicians or bureaucrats be in charge of the decisions that are being made about our children, that parents should have that say-so. And I would agree with that. I would say that we shouldn't let politicians from Trenton or bureaucrats from Trenton be in charge of our schools for 20 years and have more of a say-so than us. I would also say we shouldn't let politicians and bureaucrats from Trenton flat fund our schools and deny us the money that the Abbott law gives to us, that we should not allow them to underfund our schools and make decisions about what happens in Newark, that we should be making those decisions, which is why we need local control. But I would go a step further. I would say we shouldn't allow big moneyed interests to have a say-so in what's going on in our school system. We shouldn't allow Wall Street to have a greater say than parents do in our community. We shouldn't allow wealthy individuals, because they have a lot of money, to have undue influence over the policies and processes that take place in our city. You should have a say-so. But the one thing that I can say about elected officials, at least we can hold them accountable. Just like you voted them in, you can vote them out. But wealthy individuals and Wall Street interests and bankers, we can't hold those people accountable. In fact, you don't even know who they are. So we cannot allow people to divide our city, to put parent against parent, neighbor against neighbor, resident against resident. We can't allow what's going on in the rest of the country to play itself out here in the city of Newark. We have to come together collectively and make decisions about what's going to happen for all of our children, not just a few of them. Mary Bennett, a well-known activist and a former principal in our district, said to me that when the president sends people off to war, he knows that some kids won't come back, that they will die in that war. And that's a decision that he has to make, and it's a tough one. Here in Newark, the mayor of this city and parents, we can't make that decision. We can't say any program we develop, any idea that we come up with, that some kids will perish. We have to take the position that none of our kids deserve to perish. They all will be successful, no matter what school their parents choose to put them in, whether it's a charter school or whether it's a public school in a neighborhood where they are. We have to come together as a community, as a neighborhood, and surround our children around neighborhood schools and make community schools work in the city of Newark. We don't have the luxury to say these kids can perish and these kids can survive. Right now, there's a $13 million deficit in the Newark Public School System. 35% less funding for instructional staff alone. 20% reduction in guidance counselors and English language learners, special needs programs. All of the things, support staff that we need to make sure that our kids are strong. Those things are going down in this district because, one, the state flat funded Newark Public Schools. That means as we get more students, as inflation comes, we don't get any more money. So that money stays flat, which means we actually have less money than we actually did the year before. And this continues. But at the same time, they put money in the budget, so we have to pay outside charters and organizations more money on top of the money they already have. That, on top of a $13 million deficit, creates a serious problem in Newark Public Schools. And we have to be aware of that. We have to be conscious of that. We can't allow people to say, we're going to move forward, never mind what happens to the kids that are in these schools, never mind the 60%, 70% of Newark's children that remain in Newark Public Schools. And these are just not schools that you say are doing bad, because that's simply not the truth. The best schools in Newark are being affected by what's going on here in our city. The best students in Newark are being hurt without guidance counselors, are being hurt without English language learners, are being hurt without aides for special needs, without attendance counselors. They're being hurt by this. And I don't have the luxury as the mayor to say that this is okay, that we should expand anyway. I have to care about those kids, and I'm asking you to do the same, to care with me, to care about all of our kids, not just yours, but your neighbor's child as well, and your neighbor's kid in another school as well, to care about all of Newark together. And then we make these decisions collectively and not allow people to use us to fight each other in the streets about something that they basically have no interest in. The interest belongs to us on the streets of Newark and the neighborhoods where we are every single day. There are more beating the odds schools in Newark percentage-wise than most cities in America. Next to Cincinnati, Newark is high on district schools where kids are in them beating the odds. That means that even though they're in poor neighborhoods and schools with terrible resources and the issues in the schools, there are more kids that are successful in those schools, which means there are Newark schools that are doing great. There are Newark Public Schools that are doing great, and there are Newark Charter Schools that are doing great. When are the parents going to come together and say that this is what we want? We want community schools. We want us to come together and control these community schools locally. We want to have the say-so in how these schools are governed, who the principals are, who the superintendent is, how the money is spent. And we want to be able to make the decision whether charter schools could grow or whether they shouldn't grow, or whether we have more than enough or whether we don't have enough. We should make the decision, not Trenton, not Wall Street, not rich people from the suburban part of New Jersey, parents here in the city of Newark, and not these organizations that have come in that have created themselves to make us fight each other in the streets or at board meetings. We have to be sophisticated enough and come together for our kids. We can't be like the gang members on the street taking each other's lives senselessly. We have to be more sophisticated. We have to be above board and talk about our schools, for our children, for our community.